Close your eyes for a moment and think about the first time you saw your dog. Maybe it was at a shelter, among dozens of cages. Maybe it was the only puppy in the litter that walked straight up to you. Or maybe it showed up at your door on a rainy afternoon, as if it knew exactly where to find you. And what if I told you that meeting wasn't a coincidence? What if there were a possibility that that furry soul already knew you from before? Today we're going to explore something millions of people feel deep in their hearts, but science still can't explain. We're going to talk about Edgar Cayce, the so-called sleeping prophet, and what some of his most moving readings are said to reveal about our animals. We're going to ask whether the love we share with them could be eternal, whether their wise eyes might hold memories from other times, and whether, when they leave, they truly disappear forever. If you've ever felt that your pet came into your life exactly when you needed them most, stay with me. This story is going to touch your soul. In the archives of Edgar Cayce's readings, there is a story that still moves those who discover it. A woman named Clara came to a session in 1944. Shattered by the recent loss of her dog, a golden retriever named Luna, Clara couldn't sleep. She couldn't eat. Every corner of her home reminded her of that absent presence. The water bowl by the window, the frayed blanket on the couch, the silence where there used to be panting and footsteps. But what truly haunted her was a question that wouldn't let her rest. Why had Luna come into her life right after the death of her little son years earlier? Why had that dog out of all of them looked at her with such understanding from the very first day? According to some interpretations of the readings attributed to Cayce, what he perceived during that trance was extraordinary. He didn't speak of Luna as a simple animal that had completed its cycle. He spoke of a spiritual essence that had chosen to accompany Clara through multiple existences. In a past life, according to that reading, Clara had been a healer in a coastal village, and Luna had been her constant companion, a working dog that followed her along muddy paths, slept by the fire while Clara prepared remedies, and barked when someone needed help in the middle of the night. For those who believe in these interpretations, Luna hadn't appeared by chance. She had returned because her essence recognized Clara. Because there was a silent pact between them, a bond death had not been able to break. Clara wept when she heard that, not because it brought Luna back, but because it gave meaning back to her pain. Now, it's important to understand something crucial that Edgar Cayce, according to these interpretations, distinguished carefully. Animals do not have a soul in the same sense as human beings, and that doesn't make them less important. On the contrary, according to the readings popularly attributed to Cayce, humans possess what he called an individual soul, a divine spark, endowed with absolute free will, capable of choosing, creating, rebelling, loving, or destroying. That soul travels through multiple lives, learning, growing, facing consequences. It is our responsibility, our sacred weight. Animals, on the other hand, possess what some of these interpretations describe as a spiritual essence, a group consciousness, a fragment of pure energy that does not carry the same kind of individual karma. They do not choose to incarnate in order to learn moral lessons. They come to give, to teach, to love without conditions, without hidden agendas, without resentments piled up from past lives. But here's the beautiful part. According to these readings, when an animal develops a deep bond with a human being, when that love is genuine and mutualized essence can individualize, it can choose to return. It can, in a sense, gain a unique destiny tied to ours. For skeptics, this may sound like fantasy, and it is absolutely valid to question it. But for those who have felt that inexplicable connection, that irrational certainty, that this dog knows me like no one else, these words resonate as truth. Edgar Cayce also spoke of something he called soul. Groups imagine circles of of essences traveling together through time. Your partner could have been your sibling in another life, your best friend, your father, your rival today, your teacher yesterday. And according to some interpretations of his readings, our animals are also part of those groups. That dog that saved you from depression could have been the horse that carried you to safety during a war centuries ago. That elusive cat that finally chose you could have been the hawk that hunted at your side when you were a nomadic child on the steppes. They say these groups aren't rigid. There are souls that come and go, that fulfill brief missions and move on. But there are others that remain, returning again and again, disguised in different bodies, with different names, but with the same gaze, the same loyalty, the same purpose, to walk with you. For those who believe this, life becomes a constant reunion. Every dog that arrives is not a stranger. It is an old friend coming home. If you've lost an animal, you know the pain is different. People tell you, it was just a dog. You can adopt another. At least it wasn't a person. And you nod, Because you don't have the strength to explain that just a dog knew you better than your own family. That it knew when you were sad before you cried. That it lay on your feet when you were afraid. That its snoring was the only sound that helped you sleep. The emptiness an animal leaves behind isn't rational. It's physical. It's waking up in the middle of the night because you thought you heard a scratch at the door and remembering there's no one on the other side. It's making 2 plates of food out of habit. It's walking through the park and feeling ashamed of your tears because the world keeps turning while you remain broken. According to interpretations of Cayce, that pain is not in vain. That love is not wasted. Because if there is even the smallest possibility that consciousness survives, there is even a thread of hope that the bond transcends. Then that suffering becomes testimony to something sacred. Proof that you loved well, and that is never, never lost. Now, I can't tell you with scientific certainty that animals send us signs after they pass, but I can tell you what thousands of people report, again and again. With tears in their eyes and a conviction no argument can tear down. They say the dreams change. That one night, weeks or months after the loss, the dog appears in a different kind of dream. There is no sadness, no pain, only clarity. It looks at you, wags its tail, and somehow, without words, tells you, "I'm okay, don't suffer anymore." And you wake up with a peace you haven't felt since it left. They say there are presences. That they hear the jingle of a collar at 3 in the morning. That they feel the weight of a body curling up beside them in bed, just like before. That the new cat, the one that never met the previous one, suddenly sleeps in the exact same corner, adopts the same habits, responds to the same whistle. Some speak of impossible sync. They find a feather in the place where they used to walk. They hear a song on the radio at the exact moment they're crying. They see a butterfly land on the grave and stay there, motionless, as if it were waiting for them. For skeptics, this is coincidence, the psychology of grief, the brain searching for patterns where none exist. And it could be. I don't know, no one knows. But for those who live it, it's enough. It's the comfort they need to keep going. So what changes if we believe even a little in this possibility? What changes if we accept that our dogs, our cats, our furry companions, could be traveling souls that chose us with purpose? It changes the way we look at them each morning. Because if this time is limited, this life is only one of many. But this version of them is unique, then every caress matters. Every walk in the rain, every silly photo, every moment we put the phone down and simply sit beside them in silence. Sharing the sunlight coming through the window, it changes the way we care for them. Because if they came to teach us unconditional love, patience, presence, then our responsibility isn't only to feed them, it's to honor their mission. It's to treat them with the dignity that disguised teachers deserve. It changes the way we say goodbye. Because if there is hope that we will meet again, if there is even a probability that their essence is waiting somewhere to return to us, then the farewell is not the end. It's a see you later. It's a thank you for this time. It's an I'll recognize you when you return, I promise. And it changes the way we heal. Because grief stops being a mistake we have to get over quickly. It becomes a tribute, an act of love that honors what wasn't what could be again. So if today your dog is by your side, sleeping with its paw on your foot, snoring that imperfect melody you love so much, pause for a second. Look at them, really look at them. Because according to these ancient interpretations, according to these spiritual whispers that echo through centuries, that being might have known you before this life began. It might have crossed deserts, oceans, and abysses of time just to find you again. And if they're already gone, if the silence in your home crushes your chest and the tears won't let you hear this, the love you shared didn't die with their last breath. It is etched somewhere deeper than memory. It is waiting. It is alive. And maybe, just maybe, at the perfect moment, under the perfect disguise, you will cross paths again. I can't prove it. No one can, but they can't prove the opposite either. So choose to believe what makes you more human. What makes you love better. What makes you grateful for this furry miracle that walks beside you or once did. Because in the end, the only thing we know for certain is this. They chose us. They loved us. And that, yes, that is eternal. If this story touched your heart, if you felt something you can't explain with words, help me bring it to more people who need to hear it. Like this video, subscribe to the channel for more content that nourishes the soul, and share it with someone who's going through the pain of a loss. The comments are open. Tell me, have you ever felt that your pet already knew you from before? Have you experienced any of those unexplainable signs after their passing? I read all the comments. And sometimes, in those testimonies, we find the confirmation our hearts needed. May every tail that wags at your step be a reminder of grace. May every canine gaze bring you back home. And when the time comes to let go, May you do it with the certainty that true love never ends. It only transforms. See you in the next video. Take care of your loved ones. Love them as if they were eternal. Because maybe, just maybe, they are.